Barbie is directed by Greta Gerwig and co-written by her and Noah Baumbach, and stars Margot Robbie as what this film calls stereotypical Barbie. And here Barbie suffers a crisis that leads her to question her world and her existence. A Barbie movie has been in various states of development for a long time, and if this movie came out just 15 years ago, I guarantee it would be completely different. This film is not like any other IP-driven movies I've ever seen. It knowingly disrespects the IP as well as the creators of the IP in a loving way. It's kind of like a hyper-stylized fictional elbow nudge kind of way. But it's very much so detailed, and its takedown of Barbie, what she may have done for the world that's good and bad, and how perhaps she could have a hand in fixing it as well. It's a risky movie because I wouldn't really say this is a film for kids, even though it's got the PG-13 rating that will allow parents to take their kids to it. It feels like a very adult-themed movie. A lot of the humor is going to go way over kids' heads. This is not Toy Story, even though it does flirt with similar ideas. For instance, the Barbies in their world seem to react to how people are playing with them in the real world. Kate McKinnon's Barbie, known as Weird Barbie, has chopped off hair, is always doing a split, and has marker all over her face, because whoever's playing with her in the real world plays with her very roughly. But I was very pleasantly surprised by all of the adult-themed jokes, as well as the fact that the film is able to examine Barbie's impact on our culture, as well as Ken's. How Ken might come to the real world and look at what men are doing at it and think, "Oh, I think I've got being a man all wrong," and go back to Barbie Land and try to teach the other Kens what it's like to really be a man. All of these things in the film are not only very funny, but do strike an emotional chord that leaves an impact that I did not expect to have while watching Barbie. And I think that's this film's secret weapon, because the movie itself is one. You're gonna get a lot of people who go to Barbie expecting something along the lines of what Hasbro did with the Transformers movies. Of course not that kind of movie, but that sort of mainstream digestible entertainment. You watch it, you enjoy it, you forget about it instantly. Barbie is not going to do that for audiences because it is trying to teach you something. It does have lessons in the movie that I think some people might need to hear. But it also has great songs and great dance numbers. The best, I think, from Ryan Gosling. He has a phenomenal sequence near the end of the film. I can't remember the title of the song. I think it was like, "I'm Just Ken" or something along those lines. It was great. I loved everything about it. And speaking of Ryan Gosling, he is hilarious as Ken. I'm wearing a Jaws shirt because I don't have any Barbie shirts. And what Ken does really well in the movie is beach. He's not good at being a lifeguard. He can't swim and he can't surf, but he can exist on a beach. And I figured this is probably the closest thing I have to a shirt that Ken might wear. He's just exploding with charisma. His comedic timing is off the charts. Margot Robbie, though, is amazing as stereotypical Barbie. What she goes through is aptly described as a crisis. Starting out the film believing that Barbie has done good things for the world, especially for women and young girls, and coming to realize that that might not exactly be true over the course of the movie. It's actually a very well fleshed out arc. But the real star of this movie is Greta Gerwig and her production designer, Sarah Greenwood. The world they've created, along with costume designer Jacqueline Duran, beautifully photographed by her cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto, is bright, vivid, and colorful. And I also just have to say how impressed I am with Greta Gerwig as a filmmaker. Not just her directing here, but her filmography. This is her 4th film as director. Her first was co-directing with Joe Swanberg on Nights and Weekends. And all 4 of her movies, especially Barbie, are completely different. She has not put herself in a box as the Mattel CEO wants to do to Barbie in this movie. And I don't just mean this as a praise for her filmmaking abilities. I'm impressed that she's been able to maneuver this industry that so wants to put everyone into that box. The industry wants you to do what they know you can do really well. And if you come at them and say, "I can do a lot of things really well," that confuses them and it scares them. It terrifies them, to be honest. They want to make sure, hey, you're the horror guy. You do action really well. All you do is comedy. That's your place, and that's who I know to turn to for a thing that I want you to do. But Greta Gerwig has shown herself to be very versatile, which is really inspiring. As far as things that didn't necessarily work for me about the film, I think it's about 10 minutes too long. It could have been trimmed down a bit. There were a few sequences that felt like they didn't really necessarily add all that much. Not every joke landed as well. I saw it in a packed theater in Cleveland, and some of the jokes were met with complete silence. Not all. I mean, it's a pretty funny movie, but there were just some moments where I thought, oh, that was pure cricket. And I would say if there was one thing about the movie that just did not work for me, it's the sequences inside the fictional, stylized Maddle. I love Will Ferrell, but I just didn't really find any of those scenes entertaining or funny. They felt forced, and I just wanted to return to the back and forth of Ken and Barbie. That's when the movie, I think, is at its best, when these two characters are learning about their lives. Occasionally, the movie does try to reach into a far deeper message, and one that is more impactful, especially for women, and I think sometimes it really works. There were plenty of people in my audience that loved certain scenes, especially with America Ferrera, who I haven't seen in a long time, and is great in the movie. I do recommend checking out the film. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very soon. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.